Hello, and welcome back to the Pocket English Podcast. I am so happy you are joining us today for a few minutes of English practice. Today, we are talking about a feeling that almost every English learner knows very well. It is that feeling of being stuck. You have been studying English for a long time. You know your grammar rules, and you have a good vocabulary. But when you talk to people, the conversation always feels a bit empty. You talk about the weather, you talk about your job, and you talk about your weekend plans, but it never goes deeper than that. You feel like a bit of a robot, repeating the same lines every day.
I know exactly what you mean. When I was learning my second language, I felt like I was wearing a mask. I could say the words, but I couldn't show my true personality. I would go to a party or a coffee break at work and come home feeling lonely, even though I had been talking to people for an hour. It is very frustrating to feel like an outsider because you can't get past that wall of small talk. You want to make real friends, but you don't know how to move from the facts of your life to the feelings of your life.
That is exactly the problem. We call this the small talk loop. The good news is that breaking this loop is not about learning more difficult grammar or long academic words. In fact, you probably already know all the words you need. The secret is having a strategy to bridge the gap between small talk and real talk. Today, we are going to give you 3 very simple tools to help you do this. We want you to feel like yourself when you speak English, not like a textbook. If you find these tips helpful, please make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell. It really helps us reach more learners who are trying to find their voice in a new language.
Let's start with the first tool, which we call the why bridge. This is the simplest way to change the direction of a conversation. Think about the questions people ask you every day. What do you do for work? Where do you live? What did you do this weekend? Usually, an English learner gives a short, factual answer. They say, I am an accountant, or I live in Madrid, or I went to the park. These are correct sentences, but they are like closed doors. There is nowhere for the conversation to go next.
You are right. Those answers are like dead ends. To build a bridge, you need to add one simple word, because. When you add because, you move from a fact to a reason. Instead of saying, I am an accountant, you could say, I am an accountant because I've always loved working with numbers and solving puzzles. Suddenly, you have shared something about your personality. You have told the other person that you like puzzles. Now they can ask you about that.
That makes so much sense. It gives the other person a handle to hold on to. Let's try another example. If someone asks, where do you live? And you say, I live in London because I wanted to experience a big city for a few years. You are sharing a goal and a dream. You aren't just giving a location. You are giving a piece of your story. Let's practice this together. I will ask you a common question, and I want you to think of an answer that uses the word because to explain a reason or a feeling. Ready? What did you do last night?
I went to a yoga class because I really needed to stretch and relax after a very long day at the office. Do you see how that works? I shared that I was stressed at work and that I like yoga. It is a tiny window into my real life. The takeaway for you today is this. The next time someone asks you a simple question, try to answer with the fact plus a because. It can be a very small reason, but it changes the energy of the conversation immediately.
Our second tool is something we call safe vulnerability. Now, the word vulnerability can sound a bit scary. It usually means showing your weaknesses, but in English conversation, safe vulnerability just means being honest about how you feel in a small way. Many learners think they always have to say everything is fine or everything is good. If someone asks, how are you? 90% of learners say, I'm fine, thank you, and you? This is polite, but it is also a conversation killer.
It really is. It's like a wall. If you want to move into real talk, you have to use what we call small truths. Instead of saying everything is fine, try using a specific emotion word. You don't have to share your deepest secrets. You can just say, actually, I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed today because I have a lot of projects finishing at once. Or you could say, I'm feeling quite relieved because I just finished a big exam. Using words like overwhelmed, relieved, curious, or even a bit tired makes you sound more human.
I love the word relieved. It's such a great word for learners because it describes a feeling we all have very often. And using the phrase, to be honest, is a great way to start these sentences. To be honest, I'm feeling a little bit frustrated today because my computer isn't working. When you share a small frustration or a small joy, It gives the other person permission to be honest too. That is how real friendship starts. It starts when two people stop pretending that everything is perfect.
Exactly. And you don't need a C1 level to say, I am tired or I am excited. You just need the courage to be a little bit honest. Let's try a quick repeat after me exercise with some of these small truths. I will say the phrase, and you repeat it during the silence. To be honest, I'm feeling a bit exhausted today. Now you try. Great. Let's try another one. To be honest, I'm quite excited about my trip next week. Perfect. Notice how those sentences feel different than just saying everything is good. Your action step for this tool is to replace the word fine with one specific emotion word the next time someone asks how you are.
That brings us to our third tool, which is called the active return. One big problem learners have is that they feel like they are being interviewed. The other person asks a question, the learner answers, and then there is silence. Then the other person asks another question, and the learner answers again. This feels like a test, not a conversation. To stop this, you need to learn how to return the ball. In tennis, if you don't hit the ball back, the game stops. Conversation is the same.
The active return is how you hit the ball back. The most basic way is to ask, how about you? But if you want to go deeper, you should ask a question that relates to what you just said. For example, if I just told you that I'm feeling overwhelmed at work, I should ask, do you ever have those weeks where everything happens at the same time? Or if I said I'm excited about a trip, I could ask, what was the last trip you went on that made you feel that way? This shows that you aren't just thinking about yourself. You are interested in the other person's experience too.
There is also a very cool technique called the echo. This is perfect if you are feeling nervous and can't think of a new question. The echo is when you repeat the last 2 or 3 words of what the other person said, but you say it like a question. If someone says, I've been really busy lately because I started a new gardening project, you can just say, a gardening project? This is a signal to the other person that you are listening and you want to hear more. They will usually keep talking and explain more details, and you don't have to do any extra work.
The echo is like magic. It makes people feel heard and understood. It moves the focus away from your grammar and onto their story. Let's look at how all these tools work together in a real situation. Imagine you are at a lunch break with a colleague. We will do a short role play. First, we will show you a typical small talk version that stays on the surface. Speaker 2, you start by asking me about my weekend.
Hi there, how was your weekend?
It was good, thanks. I went to the mountains. How about you?
Oh, nice. I just stayed home and cleaned my house.
That's good.
Yeah, well, see you later.
See you. Okay, so that was very short and very boring. We didn't learn anything about each other. Now let's try the same conversation using our 3 tools, the why bridge, the small truth, and the active return. Speaker 2, ask me again.
Hi there, how was your weekend?
To be honest, it was exactly what I needed. I went to the mountains because I've been feeling a bit stressed lately and I really needed some quiet time in nature. It was so peaceful. How about you? Did you get any time to relax?
I did, actually. I stayed home and did some cleaning, which sounds boring, but I actually feel quite relieved now that my kitchen is organized. I'm the kind of person who can't relax if the house is a mess. Do you feel the same way?
Oh, I definitely do. I can't focus at all if there are dishes in the sink. It's like my brain feels messy too. Did you manage to finish the whole house or just the kitchen?
Just the kitchen for now. It was a big job.
Do you see the difference? We talked about stress, we talked about the need for quiet, we talked about the feeling of a clean house, and we discovered that we both have the same habit of needing a clean space to think. That is how a real connection happens. We moved from the mountains and the kitchen to our personalities and our shared feelings, and we did it with very simple English.
It felt so much more natural to speak that way. I didn't feel like I was practicing my English. I felt like I was talking to a friend. That is the goal of this podcast. We want you to move past the feeling of just practicing and into the feeling of actually living in English. Remember, you don't need a bigger vocabulary. You just need to use the words you have to build bridges.
We have covered a lot today, so let's quickly summarize the 3 things you can try. First, use the why bridge. Add because to your factual answers to share a reason or a goal. Second, use safe vulnerability. Replace fine with a real emotion word, like relieved, exhausted, or curious. Third, use the active return. Ask a question that relates to the emotion, Or use the echo technique to keep the other person talking.
Your challenge for this week is very simple. We call it the 1 Why Challenge. In your very next English conversation, even if it is just a 2-minute chat at the coffee machine, I want you to use the word because one time to explain a feeling or a reason. Just one time. Don't worry about your pronunciation or your grammar. Just focus on sharing one small piece of your real self. Once you do it, you will realize that people respond much more warmly to you.
It is such a powerful feeling when you realize that people are interested in what you have to say, not just how perfectly you say it. We are so proud of you for taking these small steps to improve your communication. If you enjoyed this lesson, please leave a comment and let us know which of these 3 tools you want to try first. And don't forget to subscribe and share this with a friend who is also learning English. It is always easier to practice when you have a partner.
Thank you for spending your coffee break or your commute with us today. Every minute you spend listening and practicing is a step toward feeling confident and connected in your new language. Keep going, keep being honest, and keep building those bridges. You are doing a great job, and your English is growing every single day. We will see you in the next episode of the Pocket English Podcast. Press play, relax, and let your English grow.